Welcome back, everyone, to Inside Texas Basketball. I'm your host, Evan Veith, as always, joined by Keenan Womack, but it hasn't been as always recently because we've got a new girl dad on the scene. Keenan is back from an awesome month with new baby Margot.
Yeah.
How have you been doing, Keenan? New father, what's that been like?
Dude, it's been beautiful. It's been an amazing experience. Love baby Margot. Thanks for the shout out. She's gonna be a huge hoops head. Can't wait to coach her team, her 7-year-old basketball team to victory whenever she's old enough. And we're gonna be running Spain pick and rolls. We're gonna be running crazy actions when she's like a little kid. She's gonna know the playbook in and out. It's gonna be great.
She's going to hedge the screen better than any 7-year-old you've ever seen.
Absolutely.
Well, it's been a bit of a break since we've been here. I mean, we both have some very different backgrounds. I'm still in Cancun for those that saw our show on Monday. Keenan's at the office, but
Yes, sir.
we're back with some Texas basketball, and there hasn't been a lot of news, as some of the readers here would know. There's been an update on Evan Boisdor. He was the point guard from France who had some really good numbers in kind of the amateur league. Got a chance to play a little bit in that kind of upper level, but mostly had that potential to be a real lead point guard. And Keenan got a chance to talk back with him, and Keenan, it sounded like it's maybe not going to happen for Texas. The connection's been lost a little bit. What does that mean for where the Longhorns stand going forward for the rest of the offseason?
Yeah, I don't think it was anything other than I think the Texas staff moved on more than Avon did. According to him, of course. That's just what my read on it was from talking to him. I think what it means more than anything is I think they're going to go international. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
If my friend who is a Twitter basketball savant, his name's Nick Kalinowski. He has a whole go to his Twitter, Cali Drafts. He has a whole board of every international guy that's being looked at by colleges, ranked by position and everything. It's an unbelievable tool if you want to check it out. And so I'd be really surprised if they didn't go international, just because of the way the transfer portal is now. There's not a ton of options. Most of these guys, most of the signings now are international guys. So probably gonna be an international guard, I would imagine. Interesting conversation with Sean Miller. He talked a lot about Simeon Wilcher recently. So whether they see something in him as maybe some lead guard minutes from him, maybe right now it looks like it's going to be Tremont Mark and Jordan Pope, and depending on what they want to do with Wilcher as well. I mean, Sean Miller knows better than me, so I'm not going to sit here and say I know what I'm doing. He doesn't, obviously, but I never saw that out of Simeon Wilcher. But Sean Miller's point guard. That dude knows what he's doing. His offenses are awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and trust coach on this one and see who they roll with. Cause I feel like the guy they pick up internationally probably won't be the starting guard this coming season.
Yeah.
I feel like it'll be Tremont Mark.
Yeah, and you also got to think about how Miller's coming from his own system. Wilcher's coming from a very different system from St. John's. And then you've got Pope and Mark, who kind of had a wash year last year with what happened with Terry. So they're also in a way going back to those Arkansas and Oregon State roots. So maybe there is something with all three of them that Miller sees in what his offense can be. But like you said, they need to have some kind of backup point guard play, just some depth there, and maybe even two guys if they want to add someone who can maybe progress junior year, stay 3 years here in Austin and play well there. But I think the big news right now, which conveniently for us dropped about 30, 40 minutes ago, is the Texas basketball schedule with the SEC. Now, we don't have specific dates or anything, but we do know the opponents and where they're going to play. And thank you, Homa, for already putting this up for us. So you can see home and away schedules. The two teams that are playing home and homes are A&M and Oklahoma. And I wanted to start there, Keenan, because obviously you're going to see these opponents more. It's like, NFL divisional opponents. And it's two teams who did really, really well in the portal. And I think all three of these teams in this little clump did a really good job of bringing in new guys to, for two teams, make up for a new head coach, but also for Oklahoma, just kind of usher in a new era of maybe a little more stardom with Reed coming in. What's your read on those two teams and where Texas may rank in a 1-2-3 with them?
Yeah, man. I think Oklahoma is going to be vastly improved. I really like the offseason additions that they made. I really like Xavier Brown, I think, and Nigel Pack are both guys that are impact guards off the bat. Darian Reed obviously was a 5-star coming out of prolific prep. He played some for Alabama last year as a true freshman. Was hit or miss in some of those minutes. He's tagged as a wing. He kind of played more power forward at Alabama, but we'll see him probably play some wing for OU because they have Tay Davis and Mo Wagway as their front court. As far as A&M, right, I really like some of the additions they've made as well, and I know this is a Texas show, so don't get mad at me, fans, but, man, Rylan Griffin, McKenzie, and Backo are really, really good players, especially Mbacco, who I think is a guy that could have gone in the NBA draft this year if he'd really wanted to. Bucky McMillan is the new head coach there. He came from Samford. He had a lot of success there. I'm not saying he's Nate Oates, but he has kind of a Nate Oates story where he was a high school coach, was extremely successful, analytics driven, math guy, that kind of thing. And he was very successful at high school, got to Samford, was very successful there, and now he takes over the A&M job. I really like the job that they've done building their roster. As far as where I would rank those guys compared to the Texas roster, I think it's kind of I think A&M will probably be third out of those teams this year just because they're developing a new system. I like Jakari Lane at point guard, but I would say Texas and OU kind of a wash. I think you could go either way with those rosters. I really like the future for A&M's basketball team, though. This isn't some biased, oh, I hate this team. Like, that's not me. That's not how I look at basketball. I look at it objectively. And I really like the future for A&M. I just don't know that this year it seems like they had kind of a lot of parts that are talented, but I don't know how well they'll fit together. I would say OU looks really good, though, man. I think they're going to be vastly improved from last year, even with the loss of Jeremiah Fears. I think they're going to be a lot better this year, and I think they're going to be a tougher opponent. But Texas is going to be a lot tougher, too.
Yeah, it feels like a little bit of that star power has gone from Oklahoma. I know, obviously, A&M had a little bit of roster churn because of that new head coach. But buckyball's fun, man, and he's bringing in some – it's a coach from Stanford who then goes in the portal and says, hey, these former 5-stars, come and play for us. We can unlock that talent level from you guys. And that's a scary thing to see, and that's where the potential is. And I think the SEC is going to have about 6 teams roughly where they're just going to be some of the best, 6 of the top 10 teams in the nation, really above the pack. But that's where Texas and Oklahoma and A&M are fighting to get into that 7, 8, 9 spot B right there. And with how it looked last year, that might be a 4 seed in the NCAA tournament. You're telling me Sean Miller's getting Texas to a 4 seed in his first season? Got to be happy with that.
Yeah,
some more teams here in the home schedule, and I think the biggest one that stands out for one that, let's get the corral popping. Let's get as many fans in for this game to really hype up this new era with Sean Miller is that Florida game, because, man, they have not only taken the national championship team with a young head coach, they've then added 2 of the best guards in the country that you could have possibly gotten to the transfer portal, and Xavier Lee and Boogie Fland. And this Florida team is just pretty amazing. Honestly, that it might be the preseason number 1, top 3, pretty much undeniably. What do you think it's going to take for Texas, and maybe even from a fan side of things, to make that game competitive? Because there was a lot of games in the Terry era where a team would come into Austin and just kind of beat them down, and it didn't feel very competitive. So what's going to be the difference here with Miller to make that not the case?
Well, I think specifically with Florida, man, it's going to be a lot of perimeter defense and swarming guards, right? Because as good as Lee and Fland are, they're not huge guards. So maybe having a guy like Tremont Mark, who's 6'5", 6'6" on the perimeter, can help with that. Throwing a guy like Kendall Weaver on Boogie Fland, who I think Boogie Fland could end up being, an All-American. I think Lee could too, but I just think Boogie was in a weird system at Arkansas. It didn't really fit. And he was injured a lot too, right? He's injured half the season basically with that thumb. And he came back and he wasn't great in those games he came back in. So, but I mean, their front court's going to be awesome too. They bring back Condon, they bring back Chinyalu, they got Hawk at wing. I mean, they're just, they bring in so many talented players. I mean, Micah Handlogton's back. Like they're just so loaded. I don't love their bench as much as I did maybe last year. I think their bench was stronger last year, but man, that's starting 5. They did an admirable job replacing, Walter Clayton Jr., Elijah Martin. I mean, those are not easy guys to replace. Exactly. They're not easy guys to replace. They did about as good a job as you could do replacing those 2 guys. So I think I mean, my top 3 teams as of right now in the country are probably Florida, Duke, and Houston. Shocker after the Final Four last year. Those teams just absolutely reloaded.
The 1 seeds.
Yeah, I know. Not going out on a limb. I know it's a very, very brave stance to take on this show. But yeah, man, Florida's going to be great. I think Texas can hang with that front court. The back court's going to be interesting to see if they can hang with, though, because man, that is a super talented group that Florida has this year.
And what I will say is last year, 10 wins in the SEC, a 10-8 record was about as good as you could ask for any team that was kind of on that fringe. That's where Missouri ended up there at 10 wins. I think A&M was rated 11. And that's where you want to be a competitive team in the SEC and in the tournament play fully and having a secure seed. And you do look at this schedule, and I made a mistake. They're also playing Georgia, both sides, home and away. Not sure why that was the pick instead of some other teams. But, Florida might be a tough game to take. But I see 8 games that feel very winnable for this Texas basketball team just at home. And that's a huge to have a home court advantage like that because, Georgia and LSU are teams that are still kind of on that, let's get to the next level, get to the next tier. Ole Miss is a good program with Coach Beard, and obviously that's when you have to look at it. Him coming back to Austin. It's happened before, but it's always going to be interesting with that. Mississippi State, South Carolina, Vanderbilt did a really good job in the portal, but these are all teams that are looking to get from the bottom half to the top half, similar to Texas. And having them at home is really nice to have. And I wonder why that's the way the schedule went. But does this give you some more confidence heading into the season because you're seeing, the SEC, every team 1 through 16 is going to be hard to beat, but you're probably seeing a lot of that 10 through 16 instead of that 1 through 10, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think definitely they're going to have a much better home record than that. What they have 6 SEC wins last year? Is that what they finished with? 6 or 7?
It was 6 SEC wins. Yep.
Yeah. So they'll
7
probably get
losses
more
at home overall.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen this year. I mean, South Carolina, I don't really love their roster. I don't love Vanderbilt's roster. I don't love Georgia's roster. I think they're going to be better than people think, but I still don't think they'll be great. I like LSU's roster quite a bit. I think they've improved drastically. Dean Thomas is he was at UNLV last year. He was a guy that averaged like 17 points a game. Got a huge bag to go play for the Bayou Bengals. They got, Markel Sutton out of Omaha. They got a lot of guys that I like on that roster. So I think LSU is going to be drastically improved. And I think McMahon's a good coach, but that's a winnable game for sure. I think we should talk about the Ole Miss game because you talk about a fired up crowd, man. That place is going to be absolutely rocking. And I think, unfortunately, if you're not an Ole Miss fan, I think Ole Miss is probably a top 5 team in the country coming in next year. I absolutely love the additions they made. Ilias Kamerdine is a guy I've been covering for a couple of years now. He came out of France. He's 6'5". I think he's like 20 years old. He's gonna be a freshman, which whatever. Transfer rules
sure.
to the European. Elite defensive guard, like such a beard guy. Bringing in Corey Chess from LSU, bringing back Malik Dia. Nico Bundolo is a really talented freshman. They're bringing in AJ Storr from Kansas, who had a rough year last year, but he's clearly a very, very talented kid. And I think that team's going to be really good. Corin Johnson's another guy that I like. And so that's going to be a crazy game. That's the game you really want to win if you're Texas, man. You don't want Beard coming in there and beating your team in front of your home crowd. It's just like, I tell this story often, but it was just such a weird game when the night that he got canned or it went down, I suppose. They played Rice and it went to overtime, and Quincy Olivari played for Rice at the time. I think he gave him 38.
That's right.
I was at that game. It felt like a funeral.
The Los Angeles Lakers.
It was, it felt like a funeral in there. It was really weird, but they're in a new era now. Texas is in a new era with Sean Miller, and I really like the future. So hopefully they can get that game. But those are most of the important home games, I think.
Yeah, it feels like the home schedule, you're going to see a lot of fan interaction, and hopefully Sean Miller adds that for OU, A&M, and Ole Miss. Those are going to be the ones that are packed crowds. And then, Florida is also going to be one where hopefully the fans aren't so depressed by the time that Florida game gets there that there's no one there because they know they're going to get creamed. But
oh man,
overall, it's a pretty favorable schedule outside of the Ole Miss and Florida games at home, and I could give the team some momentum. I think we're going to take a quick break here from our sponsor, Josh Holden, and then talk about some of these away games.
Hi guys, sorry to interrupt, but if you're thinking about buying or selling a home in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex area, you need to contact Josh Holden. The Metroplex is massive, and the local real estate market is full of nuances and subtleties only an experienced agent like Josh can help you navigate. From Preston Hollow to Highland Park, Uptown to Old East Dallas, Josh will be there to guide you through the process of buying or selling your home. Now, Josh is a UT grad, a lifetime Texas Ex. He's reliable, savvy, and from a personal perspective, he's a really great guy to chat with. So why don't you give him a call and chat with him today about your real estate needs in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex area. His number is 972-917-8081. That's 972-917-8081. Or you can reach him at his website, which is joshholdenrealestate.com. All the contact details are in the description below. Thanks so much. And Back to the show.
I know I can't talk based on my setup at home, but I feel like every time we get a new sponsor, LC's it's background gets more dark and his hair gets more frazzled looking. But thank you so much to LC and Josh Holden for that. Let's talk about this away schedule because Jesus Christ, there is an away schedule to look at. You've got the 3 games that were already locked in as home and homes: Georgia, A&M, OU. Missouri should be the other game where Texas feels confident about going in there and winning. And then you've got Alabama, Arkansas, Auburn, Kentucky, and Tennessee all there. I mean, thank God Florida wasn't away, but these are the toughest environments, the toughest teams, the best coaches in the conference. And where do you even start with this, Keenan, when you look at a graphic like that? Where does your mind first go to?
Man, I just think about all the talent Alabama and Auburn brought back, dude. I mean, they each brought back their lead initiator, who are each guys who could have gone in the top 20 in the NBA draft, right? LeBaron Filan is a bona fide, that dude's going to be probably preseason All-American this year. Latrell Wrightsell's back. They brought in Jalil Bethea from Miami. Taylor Bowen is a Florida State power forward. Aiden Sherrill is back. Aiden Holloway's back. Houston Mallett's back. This team is stupid loaded. Arkansas might have the 2 best freshman guards in the country on the same team. Mm-hmm. Darius Acuff and Malik Thomas. I mean, it's going to be probably Calipari's best backcourt since Monk and Fox. Truly. That's the level of talent.
SGA, was he past SGA?
Literally, and then they have DJ Wagner as well. They also brought back Carter Knox. Somehow Trayvon Brazile is still playing. Malik
how he still has eligibility.
I have no idea. Nick Pringle's back Arkansas is going to be absolutely loaded. And then Auburn, Tahad Pettiford. They brought in the 2 Keyshawn's and Hall and Murphy, who are both guys who are, just elite player. Keyshawn Murphy is one of the best defensive bigs in the conference last year. And then Keyshawn Hall was an absolute scoring monster at Central Florida, I think. Filip Jovic, they brought him in as well. He's a European guy. He's really talented. Abdul Bashir, who was the guy who was hitting all those threes last year. I think he was the nation's leader in three-pointers made. I don't even know that he's going to play a lot because they have Overton, who's a much more well-rounded guard who can also shoot the rock. Caden Magwood's coming in. Auburn's absolutely loaded, man. Kentucky is Kentucky, man. They have a $15 million roster.
Thousands of millions of hundreds of
it's
dollars.
Unbelievable. It's unbelievable how much money they have on that roster. Bringing in, Malachi Moreno, Jaden Quaintance, Jalan Lowe, Denzel Aberdeen, Otega Oweh's back, Mo Diabate, Jasper Johnson. They just have an insane roster, man. They're going to probably be a preseason top 5, top 10 team, and rightfully so. They're extremely talented. And then Tennessee, man. Tennessee's just Tennessee. They just beat up on you, dude. Jacoby Gillespie from Maryland is there for Tennessee. Felix Okpara is back. Nate Ament, who's one of the best freshmen in the country, I would say a top 4 or 5 freshman in the entire country, he's going to be playing for them. Amari Abram is there for them too. Jalen Carey. They have an insane roster also, and they're going to be the Tennessee team that everybody knows. They beat up on you. They're physical. They swarm the ball. They trap ball screens. They hedge. They do so many things defensively that makes it difficult to score. That's going to be a war, man. This whole conference is unbelievably loaded. It's going to be the best conference of college basketball again. Although the Big 12 is going to be really strong this year too. I think Kansas, BYU, Baylor, and Houston are all going to be really elite teams. But I still think depth-wise, it's got to be the SEC is going to be the best conference again this year. And I'm not some SEC roo-rah. I don't care what the best conference. I don't care if Texas is in the best conference at all. Just looking at it, it looks like Texas. It looks like the SEC is going to be the best conference once again, just because of the amount of money being spent, all of the NIL, the revenue sharing. It's a powerhouse, and I think it's going to continue to be that way, especially as these teams upgrade at coaching as they have in the last 10 years. Think about how many great coaches are in this conference right now. It's going to be a war, man. And even the lower level teams, I like some of the guys they brought in. I even like some of the guys that Vanderbilt brought in. You know what I mean? First of all, I think Mark Byington's a very good coach, but Frankie Collins from TCU, grad transfer, he's going to be good. Tyler Harris from Washington, they have guys too. There's just not going to be an easy game on this schedule. The only team that I think is going to probably be pretty bad is South Carolina, and even then, I'm not really sure how
Look
that
what happened last year.
exactly. I mean, they brought in Mongolian Mike, who that's his nickname. Don't get mad at me. That's what he calls himself, from Utah, who's a very talented 6'9" kind of guard. Just really, really versatile player. So, I mean, you never know what he could bring to the table. But, yeah, I mean, South Carolina's really the only team that I'm looking at that I'm not like, wow, that's a really good team. All these other teams, maybe Georgia, but even Georgia has guys that I think are really good too. They're bringing back Santos Cyril, bringing in Kanan Catching. So, going to be another war in the SEC, brother. It's not getting any easier this year.
Yeah, and it just, like you said, maybe one or two teams are ones where you're feeling we can probably win this game no matter what. I think what really stands out to me is, man, it's because just the NBA in general and the game of basketball is just becoming so much more advanced to understanding how important athleticism is. But these teams are just so tall and so long. It's so many of these rosters. Like you look at just a team like Kentucky where they've got 5 players probably in the rotation that are 6'8", 6'9" to 7 feet tall. And then you've got, like you talked about, the worst teams like South Carolina have 6'7", 6'8" guards. It's just so hard to deal with teams that have that length. And thankfully Texas really, really went into that this offseason. That's why we're talking about wanting some more point guards. But they can run out a lineup with Mark, who's about 6'6", Weaver, who's about 6'4", Swain, 2 7-footer. They can match the size. But I want to know what your take is on this, because I look at this bottom row, this away, and I see Alabama, Arkansas, Auburn, Kentucky, and Tennessee. How of those 5 teams, how many of them are going to be top 10? And if not top 10, how many of them are going to be top 15?
I think they're all top 15.
Yeah.
As far as top 10, I think Alabama's top 10. I think Auburn's top 10. I think Kentucky's top 10. I think Florida's probably 1. I think Ole Miss is top 10, maybe top 15. I mean, I don't know if these are preseason. This is just like how I see it playing out. I think Ole Miss is like going to be a Final Four type of contender. I think they're that good.
And coaching plays so much a part into this. And as much as he's not a big fan, people aren't a big fan of him here. It's a good conference of coaching. Chris Beard's coaching Ole Miss of all teams.
Yeah.
So 7 of the 15 opponents, or of the, I guess, 7 of the opponents Texas faces are going to be top 15 type teams.
Yeah.
Just how good the SEC is, and similar to football, it's just the best conference for stuff like this. And I like you said, I don't want to be the truther, but it's just how it's going to be. Before we go, let's talk a tiny bit about what we do know out of conference, because obviously we're seeing this conference one, but Texas does play 2 really notable teams. They've got a Duke matchup early in the season. That's going to be really interesting. I need to pull it up right now to remind myself if it's home or away. But they're playing Duke. They're also doing Virginia.
I believe it's neutral.
Duke is in Charlotte, so yeah, Charlotte's
so a home game.
Then that's in early November. Early December, they are hosting Virginia, which I think will be one that Texas could really use that win momentum against a program that's pretty well known.
I like Virginia's team this year too, man. I think they got and I love their coach. I think their coach is really badass. So,
well, they've jumped a lot from this 1 year difference, and we talked about it on a show before, the top hires, and Virginia is right up there with Sean Miller for some. I think it was Bilas who said that. And then they're playing a Maui Invitational. I think the biggest names there are like NC State with Will Wade, USC. God, I think doesn't USC have Chad Baker Mazara now in his 12th year of college basketball? The Maui Invitational is one where I think Texas could really make a run in, because the teams, I think Creighton's also playing in that. Some of the teams are not as strong, and if they can maybe take a game that they aren't favored in, then they could win the whole thing. And I think that would be really big. But what are you thinking about these out-of-conference teams? I think those are the only ones that really matter. I think they haven't announced dates for like Sam Houston. They're playing a lot of like the Houston Christians. But what do you think about those games that we brought up?
I think Duke's gonna be tough to win, man. I really like the Duke roster. I think Caden Boozer is like the type of dude who can be a top 3 pick in this draft. They got Dame Sarr coming in. They bring Isaiah Evans back, Caleb Foster. They also have Caden Boozer as point guard, Cam's brother, who's 5 inches shorter, but he's a super smart player. I mean, Carlos Boozer was a really smart player, so it's not that surprising. Patton Gongba at center. I mean, Duke's going to be absolutely loaded once again. Dame Sarr is a guy that people aren't really talking about as much, who aren't as hip to the international circuit. That guy is like a freak show. Like, he's an amazing scorer. He's just a fantastic player, and he'll be a starter.
Flamethrower, right?
Yeah, he's a big scorer, man. He's a real talented offensive player. And then NC State, I really like their roster too, man. They brought in Terrence Arsenault. They got Darian Williams out of Texas Tech. Matt Abel, who they beat out Texas for, actually. Trey Holloman from Michigan State. Sorry.
Yep.
That's a freaky good roster too, man. I mean, NC State is going to be competing for the ACC, so you're basically playing arguably the best 3 teams in the ACC this year with Virginia, Duke, and NC State. Possibly.
Yeah, I was just about to say, like, if you're looking at the ACC, it's been a conference that's really taken a dip in recent years outside of Shire doing really well and now Will Wade having some interest. But like North Carolina is probably not the second best team in the Carolinas this coming season. It's pretty odd to think about, but yeah, you're going to face some really strong talent in the preseason. I'm always a big fan of that. I'm a big advocate. I think that's generally the Texas motto for any sport they play in is play well in the preseason. But it's good to be back, Keenan. I feel like we got a chance to actually talk about something. The past few shows have been a lot of just maybe they could bring in a point guard. I thought they would have done it by now, but it should happen sometime in this offseason. We're going to be immediately on it. We're going to be back to weekly shows on Wednesdays. I'll be back in my setup. Keenan will be back. We'll be in the office for those, but it's just really nice to have you back, Keenan. Any last thoughts about fatherhood before we jump off the show?
If you're a new father, enjoy it. That's all I got.
Well, thanks so much, Keenan. Thanks so much, Connor, behind the scenes. And thanks so much to Inside Texas for being the best spot there is for Texas sports information. Keenan's back on there doing some basketball information, writing some articles. We've got baseball transfer portal stuff. We've got Texas football recruiting. It's just the best site to go for not just Texas sports, but any sports and any college team in the country. Inside Texas is the spot to be. Make sure you go over there and subscribe and read some of our articles. So thank you so much, Keenan. It's been a great one. We missed you, buddy, and we're going to be signing out now. Have a good one, y'all. See you.